What up, fight fans, and welcome back to the MMA channel with me, Marisol. Today we're going to be talking about Conor McGregor versus Donald Cerrone and how the result was not surprising. Now, if you guys have watched my previous videos, I did do one where I talked about this fight, and my original analysis, prediction, estimate essentially was that it could go either way. And part of me really thought that Donald Cerrone could defeat Conor McGregor. I do still think that he has the skill set to do it. However, as many of you may know, if you follow me on Instagram and watch my stories, that I changed my mind during fight week, and for one critical reason. Donald Cerrone's mindset. Given what he was saying in different interviews, it did not seem like he had his head in the game when it came to actually getting a victory. It seemed like he was just looking for a crazy fight, an entertaining fight, and not quite a win. Now, with that being said, we're going to be talking about what exactly went wrong for Donald Cerrone, other than that one critical thing, but also what comes next for Conor McGregor. So let's get into it. As I mentioned, there were things that went critically wrong for Donald Cerrone, other than his mindset going into the fight. And when it comes to what exactly went down, it was ultimately just a very beautiful fight. Those 40 seconds were amazing to witness. And we had, with this fight, we had Conor McGregor coming in with a strike right off the bat. Donald Cerrone beautifully dodged it, just dodged it gorgeously. But he did not take advantage of that level change. When we look at what exactly the positioning was between the two of them, we have Donald Cerrone down below, and essentially you had Conor McGregor's hips right there, right by his shoulder. And we actually do see Donald Cerrone's hands kind of placed like maybe they could have gone kind of like near potentially a single leg, but that is not what happened. He did not go to take him down. He did not get a single leg. He didn't do any of that. He simply stood back up, ended up in the clinch, and then faced a barrage of amazing shoulder strikes via Conor McGregor. So the fact that he had the perfect position to take Conor McGregor down, the hips were right where they needed to be in order for there to be some sort of takedown, but no, that is not what happened. We even could have had a single leg. It's not what he did. And I know that there were fights, or there were interviews where Donald Cerrone had mentioned, yeah, I probably should take him down, but I'm probably not. And that actually was one of the reasons why I figured and came to the new conclusion that Donald Cerrone was not going to win this fight. Now, all props to Conor McGregor for having such a beautiful and quick finish. Like I said, those 40 seconds were beautiful to witness. There was a lot of amazing things going on. Those shoulder strikes were just inventive, creative, and an amazing way to have your first fight back in the UFC. And they definitely rattled Donald Cerrone, which is why he kind of remained in the clinch to begin with, when he could have actually just kind of stepped away a little bit and reassessed things and maybe even done some sort of a level change again. But no, that was never part of the plan for Donald Cerrone anyway. So when it comes to Conor McGregor and his beatability, because this is something that I have pretty much always thought where he is someone who is beatable. It's just not happening. And when it comes to his technique, his skill, there is a part of me that, with the right fighters, he is beatable. I think if Donald Cerrone had a different mindset, he could have won that fight. However, the facet of Conor McGregor that is unbeatable is his persona, is his trash talking. There's no one who can defeat Conor McGregor in the trash talking game when it comes to his persona, the sort of air about him, so to speak, and that is definitely unbeatable. And that plays into the trash talking, that plays into the mind games, where fighters end up in this situation where everything seems so much bigger than perhaps they can actually deal with. So props to Conor McGregor for creating that for himself. So when it comes down to, is Conor McGregor beatable, and what I think about that, at this point in time, I think it's going to take an elite wrestler, an elite grappler to actually defeat him. And we saw this with Khabib, because when it comes to someone who is an elite wrestler, an elite grappler, it's in their DNA, basically, to go down to the ground, to take the fight to the ground. And that is where Conor McGregor is weakest in his game. So that is where someone who is his opponent would most likely win. But an elite grappler, an elite wrestler, ideally and most likely would not necessarily want to strike and remain in a striking game, because I feel like it is so inherent within them to revert to what they know the most, revert to what they know the best, and what's sort of muscle memory for them, and that is the grappling and the wrestling. So at this point in time, which then does lead me to Conor McGregor's next fight, because that is something that we are all curious about. That's something that has been talked about a lot on the internet and in post-fight interviews, since Conor McGregor actually didn't call anyone out in his post-fight. But we are all thinking about who is next. And according to the Twitterverse, they want Masvidal, per Dana White, as Dana White did mention after the fact that a fight, a rematch with Khabib would actually kind of blow the records for pay-per-views and what have you. So it actually does kind of seem like Dana White is potentially maybe thinking that Khabib is going to defeat Tony Ferguson, because given the time frames here, a fight or a rematch between Conor and Khabib probably wouldn't take place, I would say, until the fall. I think I did talk about this in a previous video. So that probably wouldn't take place until the fall anyway. And that would then assume that Khabib wins, which we'll talk about that in a later time, because that fight is going to be crazy. And I'm definitely excited for that one. But with that being said, if you were to fight the winner of that fight, it would definitely be taking place, I think, late summer, early fall, either way. But in an interview with Air Hawani, Conor McGregor did mention that he wants to come in and fight again sooner, probably in the summer, early summer. So that doesn't give enough time for either Tony or Khabib to have a fight camp to potentially heal up if they get injured in the fight, and then be prepared to have another championship fight. So with that being said, and also with the fact that now we have a Conor McGregor who has fought at 170, who has mentioned that he does want to win the gold this year, whether that be at 155 or 170 or both. He is actually looking for that gold at either and both of those divisions. So given that he started off the year at 170, given that a fight at lightweight for the belt doesn't really seem like it's going to be coming anytime soon, I think what we're going to see is a Conor McGregor who is going to be at 170 for the rest of the year. And actually, I think, and I pretty much agree with the Twitterverse, that it should be Masvidal next. As I said, Twitter wants it to be Masvidal. Masvidal seems to want it to be himself as well. And if that is the case, could we potentially see another BMF title fight? Well, I think given who Conor McGregor is, I think it could be possible. I would not be surprised if he changed the minds of Dana White and Masvidal to put that belt on the line yet again. And then ultimately, as he does also want that belt at welterweight, could we then see by the end of the year a fight between him and Usman? If we do, I don't think that fight would go in Conor McGregor's favor, given the dynamic and their strengths, as Usman is a wrestler. However, I would definitely be there to watch that fight either way, as I believe many of us would. But ultimately, the money fight, the fight that I think is going to happen next for him, is Masvidal, because Masvidal has risen to fame quite quickly in the last year. So those two personalities and personas fighting in the octagon would definitely be interesting and draw a lot of attention, a lot of eyes, and a lot of money. But let me know what you guys think. How did you think that UFC 246 was going to go down? Were you expecting Conor McGregor to win? Let me know in the comments down below. And who do you think he should fight next? As always, don't forget to like this video, to share it with a friend, and to subscribe for more content. I'll be seeing you in the next one.